I spent 4 years not being able to read because of neurological damage from COVID, but in January I realised that my brain had healed enough that I could read on my Kindle with very particular settings, but since then I have not read a single published book. But I have read over 100 novels worth of Heated Rivalry fanfiction, and I want to talk about it. If you are totally new to fanfic, I will leave some links down in the description about fanfic etiquette, a glossary of terms, because you're going to come across a lot of things you don't understand, and how to best use Archive of Our Own, which is where the vast majority of fanfiction lives these days. And if you've been living under a rock and haven't heard of this show, Heated Rivalry is a TV miniseries that came out at the end of last year. It is based on the second book of the Game Changer series by Rachel Reed. It follows two professional ice hockey players, Ilya Rozanov and Shane Hollander, who have been pitted against each other all of their careers, but they've also been hooking up the whole time. So it is a sexy gay hockey romance show with two of the hottest actors on earth, but it is also astonishingly good TV. Like, it is literally, bar one, the highest average episode rated TV show of all time on IMDb. Like, it is high quality stuff. And before we get started, my credentials are that I have been reading fanfic since the 2000s. I've been making videos about books on YouTube since the 2010s. I have read 10 million words of Heated Rivalry fanfic this year, over about 400 stories, and I may or may not be a moderator on the Heated Rivalry fanfic subreddit. There have been a lot of think pieces about the hysteria surrounding this fandom and about the appeal of male-male romance to straight women. I don't really think I can add to that conversation. I want to focus on fanfiction because I think fandom hysteria can explain a few weeks of infatuation, but it has been 7 months and I am still in an absolute chokehold. Before we get all critical, I need to emphasize the scale of this community. Currently there are 45,000 fics in the Shane and Ilya tag on AO3, and for the entirety of last year, the most prolific fic had 13,000 fics. It is almost unprecedented, the growth of this community in fanfic realms. And sure, like, some of those 45,000 are AI slop, we're not going to get into it, but it is undeniably huge. I checked this yesterday, the top 60 fics in this fandom have over 500,000 views each. And it's not slowing down. Like, the writing has slowed down a bit, but the readership is still increasing. It's crazy. So I've been mulling this over and I've come up with 5 reasons why I'm so absorbed in this world, and probably tens of thousands of other people are too. The first thing I want to talk about is having total agency over reading. So fanfiction is free. You are legally not allowed to profit off making fanfiction. So that means that there is a culture in fanfic world of just dropping things if you don't enjoy them. There is like no sunk cost involved because it is all free and readily available. So it is really common to read a couple paragraphs or read a couple chapters and just like put it down and move on. And I've read fics ranging from like 500 words to 500,000 words, which is like the entire length of Lord of the Rings. So you can choose the time commitment you want rather than like feeling locked into a whole novel. Having this freedom to jump around and not having the pressure of having paid money for something or having like a physical object that represents something means that I feel like I'm always reading what I want to be reading. It's never a slog, and that's just lovely. Tied into that is curation and discoverability. So AO3 has a very mature tagging system where there are like common understood terms that things are tagged with, but then also on like a per fandom basis, people make up new tags specifically that relate to that fandom or that pairing or whatever, and like other people can pick up on them. That level of organization makes it really easy if you are trying to seek out a particular trope or like a combination of themes, and it also allows you to see what is going to be involved in a fic before you start reading it. There's also a huge active community that are always offering recommendations. I would stay off Threads and Instagram, but Reddit and Tumblr are just like great places to engage and other people interested in this world, and also the writers are often on there directly. So the combination of AO3 being really easy to like navigate and find what you want, and there being this huge ecosystem of people recommending different things, I just like always have a full list of things to read next that I'm like actively excited about. And if I start something that doesn't tickle me, I just move on to the next thing that I want to read. It's great. My next point is about novelty. So we have this core dynamic of who Ilya and Shane are together. And then we have their early experiences, their family life, things that make them into the characters they are. We have their experience in the world of hockey, we have their context as rivals to each other, and then we have everything that takes place in the books and TV show. And from all of these layers, we get to decide what level of like friction we want from the reading experience, like whether we want it to be very new and it's just that dynamic that is the piece of continuity, or does it include all of canon? So an easy entry point would be an extension of canon. So that's stuff like missing scenes from the TV show, where it like fills in the blanks of stuff that already happened. Or you can go for light canon divergence. Like I really like reading reimaginings of the tuna meltdown scene. So like, hey, maybe Shane gets talked down and stays and they have like a beautiful day together. Maybe Shane goes into anaphylactic shock mid-meltdown, or Ilya's teammates like appear on them as a prank like mid-meltdown. There is so much like content that is playing with what already exists in canon and then just tweaking it a little bit, or just seeing how things play out a little bit differently. Or if you want a bit more novelty, you can choose something that has significant canon divergence. Like stuff I really like is when they end up on the same team together. So we still have that like core relationship and their experiences and their context within hockey, but maybe like the rivals thing doesn't exist anymore. And this can go to full alternate universes where one or both of them are students or doctors or sex workers or gold prospectors, I think I saw. You can stray really far from what the actual story is, and like credit to Rachel Reed, because they are such strong characters with such a distinctive dynamic, you can put them in so many different situations and it play out really differently and very interestingly like across all of that. And there's so much variance that I simply haven't gotten bored yet. Like sometimes I'm in the mood for something really familiar and sometimes I'm in the mood for something really wacky, and there's such a range of like writing styles and character treatments that it's like an infinite world. The next reason I think it's so alluring is the high emotional payoff. Like before I got into this, I had not read a lot of romance, and having a like guaranteed happily ever after all the time is just so comforting. I didn't realize how books like A Little Life had like ruined me to have hope in any relationships in literary fiction. It took me a long time to like actually accept that like things were gonna be good. And that's not to say there isn't any angst or like serious themes being tackled in any of these fics. And check the tags, because it might not be happily ever after. It almost always is, but it will be clear if it's not going to be. So like your expectations will be set. I know it's not realistic. I know it's not realistic. And like, it doesn't have to be, you know, it's fiction. And just because I'm reading knowing that they're gonna end up together, we're gonna get that romantic resolution, it doesn't mean that there aren't other struggles and other things to be tackled. Like that guaranteed happy ending doesn't undercut the weight of anything else that happens, which I have struggled with romance books in the past. I don't know if I've just been reading the wrong romance books, but this is the first time it's like really clicked with me that like we can just have the fantasy of happiness at the end of everything and just live in a world where things like are good and people end up together and it's nice, you know? The final reason I think I'm so happy in this Heated Rivalry fanfic bubble is the sex and intimacy. The books and show are very sex positive, very smutty, and of course that translates into fanfic as well. I'm not spending all day reading erotica, like most of the things I read are not explicit, but they exist in a world where like chemistry and intimacy and attraction are like properly valued. The sex isn't gratuitous, you know, it's how the characters get to know each other, it's how they get to know themselves, like it's really actually important in their dynamic. And that feels very real and honest and relatable to me. Like sex is a part of all of our lives, like even maybe especially when we're not having it. But it's usually so poorly portrayed in media and it's so private. So being in a space that does like actively engage in sexuality and sensuality It's just really refreshing, and like honestly it's inspiring. It makes me want to like embody my sexuality more. So I finished the TV show on December 29th. I blitzed through it, and I was at a party for New Year's Eve, and I mean I was in like a full-on manic state at the time. Different story, but I just remember saying to everyone that it's 2020 sex, like that this year should be about sex. And you know, I'm a happily married monogamous woman. It wasn't about having more sex or like having different sex. It's really about recognizing that like desire and arousal are somatic. They are part of my holistic human experience, and they shouldn't be just in this like little box that I only open in the bedroom and never talk about. Especially living in a disabled body that doesn't do what I want it to do a lot of the time. Like it's really easy for sexuality to feel very separate from my bodily experience, but like it is a part of my personhood. So stories that like really do engage with physical connection as well as emotional connection, I just feel really good. And like it's honestly, I feel like media that doesn't have that now, it just feels like it's really lacking something. They will show like a romantic emotional entanglement, and then they will show sex like on screen for like the visual aspect of it, but without it like really relating to the people and relating to pleasure. And that's something I just like want more from my media. I think like Off Campus did a pretty good job of it. If you want more hockey sex, it's not as good of a show, but yeah, I want more media that like really does integrate sexuality inside romance. So we've talked about the reasons why I love Heated Rivalry fanfic, and I think you should too. Now I want to approach it from like the other side of things. So my partners keeps asking like, why don't I read anything else? If I have this like desire to read again, like why am I not picking up some of the many books that we have? So I'm trying to figure out what I'm missing by not reading more widely. And another list, I think there are 3 reasons why I read in the first place. The first thing is entertainment. The second, this is very cynical, but it's to be part of the zeitgeist. It's to, you know, have something in common with people, talk about stuff. And the third is being able to learn things. So does my love of Heated Rivalry fanfic satisfy those 3 desires? And the first one, entertainment, like obviously yes, we've talked about that. The second one, fitting to zeitgeist, is kind of interesting because like fanfic for me used to be like such a private interest, and now like especially being engaged in communities on Reddit and etc, I do really feel like part of a community that has like a shared language around these things. And like even if I'm not engaging with like particular people, it's like there's this world where we all have like an understanding of the same thing. Like I feel like I'm part of the Heated Rivalry zeitgeist. Like it's big enough and active enough that it really does like tickle my desire for that kind of like community aspect in like consuming media. And because it's so like concentrated on one thing, I think it probably does that more effectively than like there aren't many books these days where it's like everyone's read it, everyone's talking about it, you know. But in this world, there are fics that like everyone's talking about and everyone's read, and it's just nice to be part of something like that. The third thing, the thing about learning, is where it falls down the most. So there is a very broad range of writing styles and story themes. There are certainly like harder reads that are more like emotionally or like cognitively challenging. But there is a limit, right? Because it's anchored on these 2 characters, and like they have diverse backgrounds, you know. Shane is like Japanese Canadian, Ilya is from Russia. And you know, through fics I can learn a lot about those particular experiences, but I can't learn about any other experiences. It's kind of locked in this like monoculture of North American sports. It's like a contemporary time period. So I'm not learning about the world. I'm not learning about politics. It's certainly not like non-fiction. You know what I mean? I'm not learning about science through Heated Rivalry fanfiction. Apogee. And another downside of that just like extreme curation I've described is that there's not many chances for surprise in what I read. There's not many opportunities for sort of like a serendipitous find. Like I'm usually really actively chosen what I'm reading, which is a double-edged sword. So yeah, I'm definitely not like stretching myself by this being the entirety of my reading diet. But especially as I'm slowly getting back into reading, and I read a lot when I'm physically feeling very bad. So like on that like comfort novelty scale, like I want to be more near the comfort end. And I think it's fine to go through periods of time where like you just want comfort reads, and accept that like sometimes you will want to be challenged more. And I just don't have a desire, because I'm so happy in this little bubble, like there's nothing that has been strong enough to pull me out of it yet. It's like if you were like living in a really crappy rental flat and you went to visit your parents for the weekend, even though you are like losing some of your autonomy by like going back to your childhood family home or whatever, it's like, oh, it's nice, it's comfortable, it's like much better than your crappy rental. But like it's like I've built this beautiful, gorgeous, comfortable house of Heated Rivalry fanfic. It would take a lot to lure me out and think that like something out there would be better, you know? So yeah, I do have a desire to read beyond, but especially with like more good works still being published every single day, I'm not there yet. Maybe by the end of the year I'll read something different. I don't know, can you convince me? And after all that contemplation, it seems pretty obvious now why I love this space and like why it feels so satisfying. So in that spirit, if you would like to dip your toes into this world with me, I have a little tasting menu of recommendations for you. It was so hard for me to narrow down these recommendations for you. I literally have a full database with like detailed notes on like everything I've ever read. And I love giving recommendations. So if you want anything in particular, or you think I would fancy anything, drop it down. We can chat about things. But I've prepared a list of 5 fics that I think would do a good job giving you an idea of what this world is about. The first fic is called At the Foot of a Palindrome. It's a nice, sweet, short fic that continues on from where the TV show left off. So it is Una and David coming around with that chicken the following day, and it's just sweet and easy and nice. I think canon extensions are a really good way to get into fanfiction, because you just like don't realize that the world has to end with canon like until you read something that pushes beyond that, and then you're like, oh my god, the world is infinite. Anyway, that's a really cute one. The second one is called I Like Jane for You. This is so funny. It's set pre-Tuna Meltdown, so they're in the situationship era, and Ilya and Hayden accidentally swap phones, and they're both trying to keep it from Shane, and hilarity ensues. This fic is from Hayden's point of view, but it is part of a series where you can also see Shane's point of view and Ilya's point of view of the same events, and like it doesn't get boring. Like there's enough extra things going on, and it's really funny and silly, and I like it a lot. Then we have Something You Can Fix. This starts out while Ilya is in Russia after his father's funeral. So he's done the like Russian monologue, but he's still out there for a few more days. What happens is that Shane gets outed when somebody leaks a video that they secretly filmed of Rose and Shane in the restaurant, like the conversation where she came out for him. It covers the rest of the 2017 season as Shane deals with a homophobic locker room and his relationship with Ilya grows. One of my favourite fics of all time is the sequel to this. Like I don't want to spoil where this fic ends, but Something You Can Build is gorgeous. Next we have a fandom favourite, Home Economics. So this is set during an NHL lockout in 2015. So this is when like the union and the league can't come to an agreement. It's basically everyone's on strike for a few months. And Shane and Ilya play together on like a short contract for a team in Zurich in Switzerland. And they're also like living together for those months. The fic begins with them returning to North America from Switzerland. And it alternates chapters between Shane's point of view going forward in time from that point and Ilya's point of view going backwards in time from that point. So we slowly get to understand how they got together over that period of time and like how they are like dealing with being apart again. This fic is art. Like it is some of the best writing I have ever read, and it's freaking anonymous. There are like 4 incredible anonymous authors in this fandom, and I don't know how they do it. My final rec is called Oh Well, I Guess We're Gonna Find Out. And it starts the day after the 2014 MLH Awards. So that's the ones in Vegas, We Didn't Even Kiss, end of episode 2. They wake up the following day to a zombie apocalypse having broken out, and Illy and Shane have to stick together to survive. It is very campy and dramatic because it is like traditional zombie stuff, but it develops into something like really tender and moving as they get to explore their dynamic, like without the pressure of the rivalry, without the pressure of the hockey world, but still with all of this shared history. I put off reading this for so long because I was like, I don't care about zombie apocalypses, but I was so glad I did. It was amazing. And there we have it, 5 recs, but I'm also gonna like pop up a load of other things that I really love, just in case. And there we have it. Thank you for letting me talk about fanfic for ages. It's something I've never talked about, I don't think, at all on this YouTube channel, and yet it has been like an important part of my reading experience. And you know, fanfic is private. Like, even talking on this YouTube channel feels like a bit like out of the bounds of fanfic etiquette. But recently Ali Abdaal did a whole video on fanfic, so if he can do it on main, so can I. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you if I ever read anything else. Bye.